Welcome to Midnight Tales. I'm Husk, and tonight you've wandered into a place where every shadow has a story, every creak has a reason, and sleep isn't always your friend. So dim the lights, get comfortable, and let the darkness settle in. Whether these stories are true, legends passed from one person to the next, or something far more sinister, I'll let you decide. Take one last look around the room, because once tonight's tale begins, you may never look at the dark the same way again. This is Midnight Tales. The storm arrived at exactly 8:17 p.m. Clara Bennett remembered the time because she had been watching the clock on the dashboard when the first flash of lightning turned the entire sky white. She was driving home after visiting her sister, 3 hours from the city, and the weather forecast had promised nothing worse than scattered rain. The forecast had been spectacularly wrong. Within minutes, rain hammered the windscreen so heavily that the road ahead became a smear of black asphalt and reflected headlights. The wind pushed against her little hatchback, making the steering wheel tremble in her hands. Then thunder cracked directly overhead. Clara swore and slowed down. She couldn't see the road anymore. Another flash of lightning revealed trees bending violently on either side of the highway. She needed somewhere to stop, now. She drove another few hundred meters and spotted a narrow sign half hidden behind the rain. Hotel. An arrow pointed toward a dirt road disappearing into the trees. Clara almost missed it. She turned. The dirt road was terrible. Branches scraped along the roof of the car, and water rushed across the track in little rivers. But after about 5 minutes, the trees suddenly opened. And there it was, a hotel. Clara stared through the windscreen. It was enormous. 3 stories of dark stone, with tall windows and a steep roof crowned by a narrow tower. Ivy covered one side of the building. A dozen windows glowed with warm yellow light. It looked old, very old, but it also looked welcoming. Most importantly, it looked dry. Clara parked beneath the entrance and ran inside. The moment she crossed the threshold, the sound of the storm disappeared. Not became quieter. Disappeared. The silence was so complete that Clara could hear the faint ticking of a clock somewhere behind the reception desk. She stood dripping on the marble floor. Hello? No answer. A brass bell sat on the counter. She pressed it. Ding. A few seconds passed. Then a man appeared from a doorway behind the desk. He was tall and thin, wearing an old-fashioned hotel uniform. Good evening, he said. Clara smiled nervously. Sorry to bother you. I got caught in the storm. Do you have a room? The man looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. Of course. What name? Clara Bennett. His pen stopped. For just a fraction of a second, his expression changed. Then he wrote her name. Room 214. He handed her a brass key. Clara looked at it. How much? Don't worry about payment tonight. She frowned. Really? You're only staying one night. There was something strange about the way he said it. Clara decided she was too tired to care. She took the key. Thank you. The man smiled. Breakfast begins at 7. She walked toward the stairs. Actually, she said, turning back, what's this place called? The man looked at her. The Hotel Between. Clara laughed softly. That's an unusual name. The man didn't laugh. No, he said. It is. Upstairs, the hotel was strangely quiet. Room 214 was at the end of a long corridor. Clara unlocked the door. The room was beautiful. An enormous bed, heavy curtains, a fireplace, a writing desk, and an old-fashioned telephone sitting beside the bed. She put her bag down and walked to the window. Outside, the storm was raging. Lightning flashed. But there was something wrong. The rain appeared to be frozen in midair. Every drop seemed suspended against the glass. Clara blinked. Then the storm moved again. She stepped away from the window. "Okay," she whispered. "I'm officially overtired." She changed into dry clothes and climbed into bed. For the first time all evening, she felt safe. Then the telephone rang. Clara jumped. She stared at it. Ring, ring, ring. She picked up. "Hello?" Nothing. Then a faint voice whispered, "Don't sleep." Clara's blood ran cold. "Who is this?" "Don't sleep." The line went dead. Clara immediately reached for her phone. No signal. She tried calling emergency services. Nothing. She tried her sister. Nothing. The clock beside the bed read 11:43 p.m. She stared at it. A minute passed. She looked again. 11:43. Another minute. 11:43. Clara got out of bed. The clock wasn't moving. She opened the bedroom door. The corridor was empty. She walked downstairs. The reception desk was unattended. "Hello?" Nothing. She looked toward the front doors. They were locked. Clara tried the handle. Nothing. She tried again. Nothing. Then she heard footsteps behind her. She turned. The hotel manager stood at the bottom of the staircase. "Having trouble?" "Yes," Clara said. "The doors are locked." He nodded. "They usually are." "Can you open them?" "Not yet." "What do you mean, not yet?" He looked at the clock behind the desk. "It isn't morning." Clara stared at him. "It's nearly midnight." The man smiled sadly. "Not here." Clara felt a chill move through her. "What does that mean?" The manager walked closer. "The hotel between isn't on any road." Clara said nothing. "It isn't quite in one place," he continued, "and it isn't quite in the next." "What are you talking about?" "You came here because you wanted to escape the storm." "Yes." "You were driving too fast." Clara's face went pale. She remembered the bend in the road, the headlights, the sudden wall of rain, the car sliding, the violent impact, then darkness. She looked at the manager. "No." He said nothing. "No. I stopped the car. I turned onto the road. I came here." "You did. So I'm alive." The manager's expression softened. "You arrived." Clara backed away. "That's not an answer." "No," he said. "It isn't." She ran toward the front doors. This time they opened. Cold wind rushed inside. Clara stepped through and found herself standing in the same hotel lobby. She turned around. The doors were behind her. She opened them again. The lobby, again. The lobby, again. The lobby. She stumbled backward. The manager hadn't moved. "Welcome," he said quietly. Clara began to cry. "How do I leave?" "There are only two ways." "What are they?" "You remember what happened." "I remember the storm." "Not enough." "What else?" The manager looked toward the staircase. "Room 214. Clara didn't want to go back upstairs, but she did. The room was exactly as she had left it. Her bag sat beside the bed. Her coat hung over the chair. Her phone lay on the bedside table. She picked it up. This time, there was one message from her sister. It had been sent 3 hours earlier. Call me when you get home. Love you. Clara stared at it. Then another message appeared. Please call me. Then another. Clara. Then another. Please. She began to shake. The memories came back slowly. The storm, the headlights, the bend, the road disappearing beneath water, her car sliding, the barrier, the sound of glass breaking, and then the silence. Clara fell to her knees. She had died before reaching the hotel. The hotel hadn't saved her. It had caught her. She looked up. The manager stood in the doorway. What happens now? That depends. On what? Whether you can let go. Clara closed her eyes. For the first time since entering the hotel, she stopped trying to escape. She thought about her sister, her childhood, her mother's laugh, the smell of coffee in her old kitchen, the tiny things she had never thought she'd miss. And then she heard rain. Real rain. Soft rain. She opened her eyes. The room was gone. She was standing on the highway. Her car was wrecked against the barrier. Red emergency lights flashed through the darkness. Paramedics stood nearby. And beside the ambulance, her sister was crying. Clara tried to call out, but no sound came. She looked back. The hotel between stood beyond the trees. Its windows glowed warmly. The manager stood at the entrance. He lifted one hand. Clara understood. She smiled. Then she turned away. The hotel disappeared. Years later, people would occasionally report seeing an old building in the forest during violent storms. A hotel with warm lights in its windows. A hotel that wasn't on any map. A hotel that appeared only to people who were lost. And sometimes, if the storm was particularly bad, drivers would see a woman standing beside the road. She would raise her hand, not asking for a ride, warning them, don't stop, keep driving, because somewhere beyond the trees, the hotel between was waiting, and it always had rooms available. The night is growing quiet, and our story has come to an end. Thank you for spending part of your evening here with me. If you enjoyed tonight's tale, consider subscribing to Midnight Tales and hitting that bell icon so you don't miss the next journey into the darkness. Until we meet again, keep a light nearby. Not because it will keep the darkness away, but because it might help you forget what you heard tonight. I'm Husk. Sleep peacefully, and good night.